All right, everybody, it's the last day. We are going to the pens. This is my favorite part. You know, all the hard work we've put into these calves and everything we've done to educate them. This is why we do it, to make our everyday life easier, to make things go smoother. I'm so excited for you guys to see these calves go into the pen and to see quite a difference in these calves. Now, we had to ride quite a ways to find them. They were on the back of the farm and they were kind of tucked off into the woods. So I sent these two dogs around them. And you can see here, they're just kind of packed in everywhere in the trees. And I just send those two dogs in there and bring them out. Now, this is the very first group of calves that we worked that were actually pretty reactive and not very responsive. And all we're doing is kind of putting them together in a group. And then we're going to bring them out. Now, this is sped up just a little bit just because it took quite a bit of time. These calves are walking everywhere they go. It took a little bit, so we just sped this up just a little bit. You can see the dogs are moving a little faster. What a difference in these calves, guys. Look at the way these calves are responding to the pressure from these dogs. Now look at that. Those other calves were starting to come out of the woods, and here they came. Right onto to that first group. This is great. Good stuff. All right. We're going to head on to the pens. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of ride out in front of these calves here on a horse, and we're just going to take them to the pens. What's so amazing about this is the initial work on these calves. You know, they wanted to throw their tails over their backs. They wanted to run off. They wanted to be goofy about things. And look at them. I mean, they're just standing as calmly and as quietly as they possibly can. You know, it's funny that the gentleman that owned these calves, he told me, he said, "Hey, when you go out there and you start dog breaking, will you count them for me?" He said, "I got out of my truck the other day," and he said, "they were going everywhere." He said, I'm pretty sure some of them jumped through the fence." You know, you can't handle cattle effectively that act that way. They have to be calm. They have to let you handle them. Or how are you supposed to get anything done? How are you supposed to vaccinate, worm, handle these calves? You know, I came out by myself with two dogs, and we're going to pen over 100 head of calves. Now, the only thing I'm asking these dogs to do here is just kind of hold these calves and bring them to me. Now, we sped this up just a little bit just because we're going from the back of a pretty large pasture to the front of a farm. And we'd be sitting here all day if you guys watch these things walk all the way up this pasture. If you'll notice, I even stop a few times and let those dogs kind of catch those calves up. If they veer left or right, those dogs will go where they're drifting to and bring them straight to me. If I couldn't have my stock dogs, I would not have livestock. And I truly mean that. I truly mean that. Now they're a little unsure. What you guys can't see is right about where I'm standing, there's a single strand of hot wire. And those calves, believe me, they know it's there. So they're a little leery that they're not going to get zapped with a hot wire if they get up there too close. So because of that, we're just going to take our time right here. You know, so many times, and you'll see when we get to the pens, so many times when guys have cattle that are close to going in or close to jumping in the trailer or, you know, whatever it may be, everybody wants to rush them. But we've talked a little bit about how these cattle learn, and they learn from the release of pressure. You apply pressure when cattle are heading in a direction you don't want them to go, and you release the pressure when they're looking the direction you want them to go. So here we are at a gateway. We're just taking them through and heading towards the pens. And you'll see when we get down here, we'll talk a little bit again about where to apply pressure and how to apply pressure. You know, so many people get in a hurry about this. You know, these calves have been to these pens before, and it's not been a comfortable place for them. They've kind of, you know, been chased in. And we're trying to change the thought process on these cattle. I want them to learn that if they come to me and go with me, there is no pressure. We're just going to give them a minute right here. Very good. You know, whenever I go out and I pen cattle for people, it's funny because I'll get them to this point right here. If I don't get the chance to educate cattle, I'll drive them towards a pen. And when they get right here, they get a little nervous. And these cattle will try to start looking for any way out that they can get out. And I always tell people, don't panic when I get them by a pen. Just wait. Because what will happen is I'll get them right here to the mouth of a pen, and it never fails. The one cow that leads everything off will pick her head up and go to run off. And I let her leave. And I let her take all those cows with her. And I can't tell you how many farmers have been yelling and screaming, chase them in, hurry up, you got them right there. Hurry, what are you doing? Why'd you let them run off? Well, and to be 100% honest with you guys, what I'm doing is I'm trying to change a learned behavior. So there's no way that I can flank a dog in front of that cow that has learned the majority of her life that she's going to be chased into a pen somewhere where she doesn't want to go, and when she runs off that I can stop her. That's not going to happen. So I let her leave. I let her go to the back of the farm. I let her take all the cows with her. And man, do people get mad. But that's okay. I ride back and I start over all over again. And I take them back up to the pen. And that pressure release starts right here. When they look towards the pen, I leave them alone. But when they turn around and they look at my dog, I may flank my dog left, I may flank him right, and just create a little bit of pressure. See, we're trying to change the thought process on these cattle. We want them to learn that if you just go the way that we want you to go, there is no pressure. But when there's a dog in front of you, there is going to be pressure. So we take our time to educate these cattle. We take our time to teach these cattle before we ever take them to the pens. We want to set everything up for success, not failure. Now, I can take these calves straight to the pen, but I don't want to do that. If I have the chance to educate these cattle, that's what I want to do. This is the third day that these calves have been worked, guys. 3 days. What happens if you own these calves and you own these dogs and you can do this twice a week? You don't necessarily have to pen them, but what if you go to put mineral out? What if you go to get a head count and you just let those dogs go around those calves and bring them to you and hold them to you? Think about how much easier your life is going to be. Now look at these calves here. They're all just kind of wadded up here at the pens. This is where everybody wants to panic. and get to whooping and hollering and chasing them in. We're just taking our time. We flank those dogs left, we flank those dogs right. We just create a little bit of pressure. And those calves are drifted in. There's no reward in there for them, and I did this on purpose. I gave those cows no incentive to go in there other than the fact that we have trained them to do what we want them to do. Now here's the really cool part. Did anybody catch that right there? If you notice, the gate's wide open. I didn't run up there and slam the gate shut. The gate's still open, guys. And what do? I call those dogs to me and ride off. Those cattle are staying there because we've taken the time to educate them. Now, had we taken those cattle and just tried to force them in there, they wouldn't want to stay there. But they understand through the education process that there will be no pressure. That where I leave them is where I want them to be. Because anytime that they've drifted away from us, left or right or gone somewhere or drawn to other cattle, they've been stopped and turned. So those calves are going to stay right there until I go get them and take them out of that pen, or we process them and turn them out through the squeeze chute or whatever we may be doing. But the only reason that is achievable is because we've taken the time to educate these cattle properly. It truly, truly is amazing what you can get done when you educate cattle properly. Now, like I said, this is just the first group of these calves on the third day. The second group is even more footage, and it is great. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all your support. Keep your eyes out for the third video of taking these calves to the pen with the bigger group. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much for your support.